All right, everyone, welcome back into another props video. Going to be breaking down the top prop bets for the day today on PrizePicks because it is Taco Tuesday. We already have one discount out, so we're going to give you guys the top prop bets to pair with that discount. Also going to touch on some other prop bets you guys can use on other sites as well. Let's go ahead and jump on into it. Now, I do just want to go ahead and get into a quick recap from the weekend bets and whatnot as well. So, Flex Friday slip was pretty darn good, going, 2 for 3. We'll take that, but this did end up hitting. Obviously, we'll take that there. And then the flip side of that was the other good part as well. We were getting a free square on Underdog, in which I told you, let's run out these two middles that we ended up having. And those two both ended up hitting as well. So, very good there. Unfortunately, WNBA slip went 3 for 3 on Friday. And then on Saturday, some of the prop bets that I gave out for that ended up going 0 for 3, a little bit tilting there. And then NBA wise, we had one really good prop bet, Jamal Murray, for under his fantasy score, which ended up hitting, but then the other prop bet that we had a part of that missed. Isaiah Hartenstein just did not get the minutes that we needed him to get. Now we go ahead and get into the top prop bets that we have today, and it is looking like a pretty good slate. So the first good prop bet that we have is going to be Ellie De La Cruz to get under his hitting fantasy score on PrizePicks. Okay, so it is at 9.5. The one concern is that the projection data has this at 9.73, but the underdog line is off by about 2 compared to the PrizePicks line. And more importantly, the average sportsbook line has it closer to about 6.64. Now, the thing with De La Cruz is if he gets a hit, there's a decent chance he's going to end up getting a steal as well, which does get him pretty much there. And if he gets a steal, that obviously gets him into scoring position. That all goes hand in hand together. It's a slight concern there. I don't think we're too concerned about that, though, because it is a clear and concise edge that we were getting. Now, from there, we are getting some other pretty good spots for some MLB prop bets. We got Campbell for over his hitting fantasy score can get there. Cam Smith for over his hitting fantasy score can get there as well. Alexander for over his hitting fantasy score of 3.5. I'm perfectly fine with all those. Part of these is just they're going to get a hit is kind of what we're betting on here. And then we just need them to do something else, basically, is what that is basically saying. So I'm okay with those. I wish we were getting an underdog line, as always, to compare that against those, but we're okay with that. Then we are getting some decent WNBA prop bets as well. So we got Aaliyah Boston for over her fantasy score of 34.5. Definitely okay getting to that one. And we also have Brittany Griner to get under her fantasy score of 34. And on both sites, those are going to be pretty good prop bets. So on Underdog and PrizePicks as well, if you're betting on Underdog, 2 good prop bets there. And so I do just want to get into the MLB tab to kind of look at some other prop bets that we have. We have Ryan in a high-scoring game, run total of 10.2. I don't exactly love that. They are 2-run underdogs in that, so his under-hitting fantasy score is also popping up. Now we got Joey Ortiz as well in a game where they are favored to win by 1.5 runs. The game total is at 8.5 points, so a lower-scoring game like that. If they were 1.5-run dogs, I'd be a little bit more inclined to get there. And then just recapping some of these ones, like this Cam Smith one, I kind of like a little bit more because it's a higher-scoring game, so like to see that there. We are getting Mookie Betts potentially for under his hitting fantasy score now as well, so not a terrible one there. This Jose Ramirez one, though, I want to call it, I don't want to get to because this is a much better bet on underdog. So for PrizePicks purposes, not going to get there. But let's just go ahead and take a peek at where the data correlates with some of these top prop bets that we're getting. And as you guys are going to see, we are getting some very good spots really for all these bets for the overs. And again, I wish we were getting like this one, for example, Abreu for over his hitting fantasy score. I wish this one was like a 54% likely to hit because we are also getting that underdog line. The thing with PrizePicks is they're giving us all these bets, and I just like to be able to compare them against underdog. But really, I'm perfectly fine getting to these ones, especially like this one, Spencer Steer, where his PrizePicks line is at 5. You look at the production data at 7.42, and you look at the average sportsbook line 6.5. That's basically off by at least 1.5. So I like that there. And same thing for these ones as well. So I like those 4 prop bets. We are getting a decent amount of good prop bets. That's the thing, guys, is with these MLB prop bets, if you are not placing a bunch of bets, it's all about picking and choosing which ones you like the most. And obviously, we are typically going to go off at the top of the board. And then, let's just take a peek at some of these fantasy score ones as well. We do have a little bit of a game stack with Griner and Gray for under their fantasy scores. So I think that's worth calling out. Like if that game is going to be a lower scoring game, which it's not, apparently, but worth calling out. But that does bode well with Boston getting her over fantasy score as well. So I think that's a unique stack and opportunity. So the SGA is the first taco. So we could obviously place SGA there. If you want to round these 3 prop bets as a part of that, you could do that. And then we have a little bit of a stacking opportunity there where, placing bets based off of how the game's projected to go. On top of that, guys, we could also run out Caitlin Clark and Rain Howard as well. And again, these ones also correlate well with that slip. I'm actually probably going to run that out. And although Caitlin Clark's line is only a 53.5% edge and Howard is only 53.4, I'm okay getting to those ones again because it's a game stack, because it correlates pretty well, right? There's the unders are all the same team, and there's 7-point dogs in those games. And obviously, if it's a high scoring game with Indiana winning, then Boston and Clark are going to be parts of the reasons as to why. And so I am fine getting to those. And then it's worth calling out for NBA guys. We really aren't getting any spots, unfortunately. Just really not worth getting to any of these. None of them are an over 54% likelihood to hit. You could argue that the unders, specifically for Minnesota, are pretty appealing with, Edwards, Dante DiVincenzo, Rudy Gobert, all with the unders, but I just don't want to get there. PrizePicks lines have been a little bit too high where we're being forced to bet unders, but none of them are 54% likely to hit, so I just don't need to get there. And so getting into the 9 to 5 bet of the day today, we are going to be looking at a 6 slip bet. Now, worth calling out, guys, these MLB bets are obviously pretty big sweats, typically speaking. Like yesterday, I had 2 bets hit in the last at bat in the 9th inning, but that is part of the equation as well. It's kind of the unfortunate thing is, like, you never really know how you are doing with the MLB bets. It's honestly one of the sports where betting on MLB, where the top prop bets each day are these hitting fantasy score prop bets, the bets that we should be targeting. It's almost worth not looking at and just like waking up the next day and checking, all right, do we have a good day or a bad day? That's kind of how I like to go about operating it, because we're betting on, not getting a double and just random stuff like that. I like the basketball prop bets much better because they're just more predictable, and you can always kind of gauge how you are doing there as well, unless you are Darius Garland in a blowout game where you get 8 straight buckets and ruin a 6 for 6 slip from last week. A little bit tilted about that one still. But yeah, 6 slip bet here, guys. Decent day today. As always, if you guys want access to all the tools available on 9to5sports.com, check that out. They're going to be all available for $10 a month. Gives you access to all the curated props betting data that calls out all the top prop bets each and every day. But that's going to do it for this video. Hopefully we have another good day today. Make sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel as well. Again, if you guys want access to those tools, head on over to 9to5sports.com. Just $10 a month. Thanks for watching. Good luck. And as always, let's keep cashing.